galore this morning, plus some kit leaks to indulge in and some outgoings as well in today's Arsenal transfer show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is the Arsenal news. Well, it's not the Arsenal news show, it's the Arsenal transfer show. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't messed things up in the morning monologue. But good morning. Thank you so much, as always, for making this a part of your morning routines. It's incredibly appreciated. I hope you've had a fantastic week so far. It's Thursday, which means the weekend is already in sight, which means it's going to be 1 week less until the start of the next season, because that is our lives. We wish them away, just waiting, hoping, and praying for that next game to come around. Pre-season is only 2 months away, but we got the European Championships to tie us over, of course, until then. And so hopefully some beautiful weather as well. Good morning to those joining us live in the chat box. Black Shy, Matt G, Gooner76, Vivian, Dom, Matt G, Steve, Jalali, Martin, Damien, NSW, Jose, Clincy, Stevie, Amira, Glenn, Chris, Angela, Mark, Dylan, Paul, Vincenzo, Rob, Mr. Reem, Martin, and P Sharp, and Bakary Lasagna, and Barry, and Kevin, and Pikachu. Thank you to you all and more for tuning in. It is incredibly appreciated. So thank you for doing so. Shall we jump straight to things? I will say, it seems YouTube has fixed itself. If you listen to yesterday's show, for some reason, YouTube was saying that there was 100 of you watching live yesterday. And I said in the morning that I think we really may need your help to push us up in the like department yesterday. And it seems that there was a glitch, because in the end, over 15,000 of you tuned in, and we got 1,700 likes on yesterday's video, which is crazy. So thank you for your kind support. I have people leaving comments in the chat box and the comment section saying, Tom, you keep getting way over 1,000 likes. Why don't you say, let's try and get 2,000 likes? It's because you don't want to get greedy. You know, you don't want to extend yourself too far. You got to take what you can get. You got to appreciate your wins. So if you could help us to get to 1,000 likes again, that'd be great. If we go past that, amazing. It's a bonus. But don't get too greedy. You can't go too far. Ambition is great, Neil, absolutely. But you've got to chill. You got to chill. Let's jump into today's story, shall we? And we start with a congratulations to Atalanta, who are the Europa League champions after defeating the undefeatable Bayer Leverkusen 3-0. And Ademola Lookman, former Charlton player, of course, scoring a hat-trick in the final of the competition. I was talking just a couple of days ago, you may remember, talking about the impressive nature of Italian football, especially in Europe. Of course, we've got Italian sides getting so far in competitions. The UEFA Conference League final has got Fiorentina, Atalanta getting to the final and winning, Roma getting to the semi-final at the Europa League as well. We've had Italian sides doing well in the Champions League. And of course, not only that, but we've had them get their 5th spot. That means that there are 5 Italian teams in the next Champions League iteration as well. So massive congratulations to Atalanta and to Ademola Lookman as well for his brilliant performance in a final, and commiserations to Granit Xhaka, of course. Now, Vincent Kompany, again, not necessarily Arsenal-specific news, but certainly news we need to discuss. Vincent Kompany is set to become the new Bayern Munich head coach. I mean, it is Arsenal-related in some ways, because Bayern, of course, would be a side that we could face in next season's Champions League once again. A really interesting choice, it seems. The relegated Burnley head coach and will be leaving Burnley to take over the job at Bayern. Of course, Kompany, having played in Hamburg, I believe, is a fluent German speaker, and that will, of course, help him in management in Germany with Bayern. But it's a bit of a risk. I do think that teams are looking at these young coaches, these up-and-coming figures, very much with the idea that Arteta is something of a model, that Xabi Alonso is something of a model. Both of those coaches have done great things with Arsenal and with Bayer Leverkusen now, and I think a lot of clubs are looking at that and thinking, well, maybe we need to invest in a long-term project, in a really brilliant up-and-coming manager, rather than waiting for them to go somewhere else first. So, interesting choice. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but of course, he does like to play good football. And when you're playing good football with the restrictions that Burnley allow in the Premier League, it's not going to go so well. But they absolutely battered the Championship in the previous season. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Now there's an Arsenal third kit leak. Now we had seen previous leaks of Arsenal's third kit that looked very different to the leak that we saw come out yesterday. Now, Arsenal's third kit is, for those listening on audio platforms, you might want to hop over to YouTube to see what we're looking at, but it is kind of a turquoise and violet, what I'd like to call a Windows screensaver type effect. I don't know if you would agree with that description, but it very much looks like something that would come up on a screensaver back in the 90s or the noughties. I really like it. I really, really, really like it. And I had someone leave a comment on my Twitter saying, how can you not like this year's yellow away kit, but like this? And I have to say, I think it's completely different. I don't like the fluorescent yellow that gives me high-vis jacket vibes. I didn't like the random lines that were supposed to evoke something of the Islington area. I didn't get it. This is nice. And I also like the Adidas retro logo on this as well. I think it's great. I love the black accents on it. You know me, I do like whenever a kit's got any black coloring on it. And I think it helps it pop a lot. So this is going to be a top kit. Obviously, shout out to Nathan Panther _52 for releasing this information. I always find it funny, I have to say, you know, when people do like kit leaks and then put kind of watermarks of their name on pictures, because there's got to be some legalities here that you're completely. I know that you want the credit for having released or leaked this information, but there's something to be said about you are telling everybody who you are while releasing this information early, of course. So this is the image that's been going around social media over the last couple of days. I really, really like it. I think it's great. And I will be having to choose a player. Usually what happens with the third kit, because it's the last one to be released, we've got some idea about transfers and who's coming in. So I will probably be going for one of those. On this season's kits, of course, on the home kit, we had Zinchenko. On the third kit, we had Saka, because I haven't got a Saka kit, so I thought I should get one. And on the away kit, which was bought for me by my brilliant listeners, we've got Santi Cazorla. So, because they wanted to put my favourite player on my least favourite kits, because they are such generous, kind people. But in terms of this kit, I'm going to have to wait and see who we sign. And I might make a decision upon that. If not, could be a Decky Rice. Now, Lokonga has been told basically to find a new club by Arsenal. The Belgian midfielder has come out, spoken very openly about his situation. He says, I had a discussion with Arsenal and came to the conclusion that the best solution is for me to leave the club. So all that remains is for the agent and the team to find the most reasonable solution. I still have 1 year left on my contract with an extension for another year. So let's wait and see what happens. So Lokonga's future is very much one that is there's around an expectation that he could leave the club, or he's going to. We expect him to leave the club, and Arsenal will be looking to try and get as much money as they can for a player they spent around 15 to 17 million pounds on back in 2021. And the hope is that Lokonga will be part of kind of a big exodus of players that gets in as much money as feasibly possible for Arsenal to then reinvest in the club this summer for potential incomings. He had a good season at Luton. Yes, injuries happened to him, but otherwise was actually quite impressive. So a story we will continue to follow as and when it develops. Now, Arsenal are said to be interested, according to John Cross of the Mirror, in Feyenoord goalkeeper Justin Bijlow. I don't know how to pronunciate this correctly in the Dutch pronunciation of it, but Justin Bijlow is the Feyenoord goalkeeper. He has 8 caps for the senior Netherlands side as well. And you may not be aware of who he is. You may have never seen him before. You may have never watched him before. But there may be a viral clip that you have seen of Justin Bijlow, who is a goalkeeper that once used what is described as 1,000 IQ. In a moment where he rushed out of his goal to tackle I'm not sure who the forward was, but a forward kind of running through on goal. He slides in, tackles the ball, goes out of play, and the ball goes back into the hands of the attacker, who can simply throw the ball to his teammate, who effectively then has an open shot on goal. Well, the 1,000 IQ moment is that Bijlow basically grabs a ball that's on the side of the pitch and throws it back onto the field, so the ref has to stop the game to stop the attack from progressing. He gets a yellow card for it, but obviously it stops a potential open goal from being created against Feyenoord. So, he's a goalkeeper that's clearly quite clever, but he is a goalkeeper that is significantly injured quite a lot of the time. In fact, he missed through a calf injury 9 games between November and April. Sorry, not November, February and April. And then a wrist fracture meant that he missed the opening 7 of 8 games at the start of the season for Feyenoord. Whenever he has come back from injuries, he has gone straight back into the starting 11. It's not a case of like the backup goalkeeper has established themselves so that Bijlow is by any chance kind of pushed out of the side. But for £10 million and a player that is obviously going to be somebody who doesn't play loads of minutes for Arsenal and is only going to be used, here and there, it's not really an issue, I think. So a goalkeeper that's going to be back up if they've been playing week in, week out and have had significant injury issues, kind of keeping them out of significant periods, but they're not going to be playing all that regularly. I'm not sure that for a backup goalkeeper that needs to come into my thinking too much. He did finish the season fully fit and available in their final game. And I'm just looking at the number of clean sheets in the Eredivisie he kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clean sheets from 17 appearances. He only conceded 14 goals in that time that he played in those 17 appearances. So conceding less than a goal a game across competitions as well. So that's certainly worth pointing out. And I think that it would be an interesting. It's arguably the most difficult position to sign a player for, backup goalkeeper, I think. So whoever we get, I don't think we can be too picky about it. He's clearly a good goalkeeper. Yes, he's got some injury problems, and for £10 million, I just don't think there's too much of a risk in doing that. I could get proven wrong. Who knows? We'll see. But I think it wouldn't be too bad of an option. Now, I haven't updated the text for this, so I will do as we speak. But Ferdi Kalioglu, who I'm going to attempt to spell live on Kalioglu. There we go. But it's pronounced Kalioglu. Supposedly has had an offer rejected in the direction of Fenerbahce from Arsenal. There are suggestions in Turkish media that Arsenal offered around 20 million euros for Kadioglu. However, that was rejected, and that Arsenal will apparently return with a 27 million euro offer. Or rather, they will not accept anything below 27 million. There were suggestions they might go back with 25 million euros. I have not been able to stand this one up. It's one that's very much in Turkish media. I'm going to try and chase down the story a little bit later on today. But he's a player that I like. I would be very open to seeing Kadioglu join Arsenal. He's very versatile. He's exceptionally good going forwards. I think if we were to replace Zinchenko and we need someone of kind of that progressive nature in the back line, he could very much be that player. I think for £20 million, which is about what 25 million euros is, I think it would be a really smart piece of business by Arsenal. He's a good age, in his mid-20s. So if Arsenal can get this deal done, and there are said to be interest from other clubs, by Leverkusen, another side very interested supposedly in Kalioglu. But yes, one to keep your eyes peeled to. But suggestions in Turkey are that Arsenal have already had one bid rejected. So let's wait and see on this one. But he's an interesting player, and I think it would be a good signing for Arsenal if they were able to pick him up. If these links can be verified, of course, we will be doing a tactical breakdown on the Fenerbahce fullback. Of course, the channel is sponsored by Football Prizes. Continue to go and check out the website down the link in the description. As soon as there is an Arsenal specific prize, there we go, got that word out in the end, I'll be making you aware of that. But there's some interesting kind of raffles, if you like, to get involved with, some really interesting memorabilia that you could potentially get your hands on as well. If you're not just tied to Arsenal related stuff, there's some really interesting images as well. There is a road to the Euros prize board as well that you might want to have a look at. Some international kits, I think. So have a look at the website, and there's loads of different things that you can win. I think tickets potentially as well to some European Championship games, and accommodation, flights, and stuff like that. So some really good stuff over on the website. Go and check it out. Link down in today's video description. UK only, of course, which is, by the way, not up to me. I've had a few people leave comments saying, Tom, can you open it up to the world? I can't. They are our sponsors. I can't control where they send out the competitions to, but it is UK only, so apologies for that. But if you are based in the UK, or if you have friends that are, get them to enter into the competitions. Well, let's go to part 2 and your questions then, right after this. Okay. Right then. I think we'll jump into the chat, shall we? Make sure if you haven't done so already to drop a like on the video. There is over 1,000 of you watching. It seems YouTube has decided to actually tell me the genuine number of people that are watching at the moment. So thank you to everybody that is continuing. I have to say that really genuinely, because of course I know when the season's on, there's a real motivation to continue to watch the show. The season's done, and now we've started the brand new Arsenal transfer show, and I get it. I absolutely understand. And I also understand for those that want to take a break, want to take a step back, and just want to kind of breathe after a hectic season. But if you are joining us, thank you. So please do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It is our dream in 2024 to try and reach the Emirates Stadium capacity. It's a really ambitious one. I'm not sure if it's going to be achievable, but if you could help us, and if you're not subscribed already, and also do check that YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. YouTube has an awful habit of doing that to listeners. And do let me know if it's happened to you. I don't know why it happens. I don't know what it does it for, but do let us know if it has. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it, but I do like knowing if it is indeed doing that to you, so that you're not alone, because I know other people's are as well. Right. Jumping into the chat box. Darren says, international fans that have ordered kits from the Arsenal store, are they reliable and timely? As a fan that has never done that, I'm going to leave it up to our listeners. If you are based outside of the UK and you've ever ordered a kit from the Arsenal store, let us know how they have been in delivering them to you. Let us know. Neil says, hi, should we be in the market for a free kick specialist? The last time we scored a direct one was over 2.5 years ago, and that was Ødegaard against Burnley, I think, from memory. I mean, do we need to invest in just one for that moment? We don't get too many options, but it's certainly something that I think would be a bonus in a player if we were to sign them. Or maybe we just need to improve the current roster of players we have with potential set-piece situations. Rob says, Kadioglu has played right back, left back, centre midfield positions, left and right wing, and once as a striker. I know if you look at his transfer marks page, it is quite the impressive thing as well. Temi says, Tom, I remember when I told you Adam Lookman was the one to look out for. I'm like, Temi, I've known about Lookman for years. He played for Charlton. My entire half side of my family is Charlton. I've known about Lookman for a long, long time. Namdi says, I watched that video last night. He throws the ball back on the pitch. I died laughing talking about Bijlow, the goalkeeper. Yes, it's a great moment. I think it's so clever. You have to appreciate that. Yassine says, Tom, is it true that you have said that you like waffles and therefore hate pancakes? I will not stand for this. This is terrible misrepresentation of my views. I like both. I just prefer pancakes, right? I prefer pancakes. I don't hate waffles. I just prefer pancakes. But to be fair, the waffles, when they're done at Arsenal, are very good. Very good indeed. The best thing about an early kickoff is the breakfast at Arsenal in the press lounge, I have to say. Not going to go all prawn sandwich, but they are very, very good. Adam says, Tom, any merit in the idea that we could get Isak for the money in Ramsdale instead of the 100 million? Adam, I'm going to need you. Shh. The Newcastle fans are listening. If you talk about Isak, they will find you. So just bear that in mind. If you dare to talk about Isak or Bruno. No, just not one behind me. Newcastle fans will come for you, Adam. So just bear that in mind, mate. They will find you. But I'll speak quietly. Could we get Isak for money in Ramsdale? I don't think so. I don't think Newcastle are going to be selling Isak anytime soon. But what about Bowen and Kudus? I think I can talk more confidently about them without West Ham fans coming for me. But Kudus definitely is a player that I would love to see would love to see join Arsenal. I think he's fantastic. I wanted him last summer. We talked about him a lot on the channel last summer, and I wished he'd have come to Arsenal, but we didn't have the financial freedom to be able to pull that deal off, sadly, so we didn't. Hold on. Have we got a birthday? Tom Sable. Okay, Tom, I'm up at 3 a.m. because it's what old people do. I turned 55 today, and I can't sleep. I usually get my kits fairly quickly, of course, answering someone else's question very kindly. Tom Sable is not only one of our most dedicated listeners who's been a member with us now for 34 months, but he's also a brilliant guy who's been on the preview show with us. He's a good friend of myself and Mike from the Gooners pod as well. So please join me in wishing Tom a very happy 55th birthday. Thank you, Tom. And I hope to see you over in the States if I ever get over. And of course, if you ever get back over here as well, I look forward to seeing you soon. Rob says, seems as though Kadioglu plays every position on the field, so we don't need a second goalkeeper as he could sub in. Very true. Paul, member for 3 months now. Thank you so much, Paul, and continuing to support the channel very much. A part of the furniture now, it seems. Darren C says, Tom, be quiet with transfer rumours. Todd Bowley could be listening. We have to take that risk, I'm afraid, Darren. We have to take the risk. Yes, he probably is. But we have to just keep doing it, mate. Chino says the Turkish players look like a wonderful utility player. Kadioglu, of course, would be awesome if we would get him. I heard from Harry's podcast that we could play across more than 3 positions, from winger to fullback. So that's an interesting one as well. I think that he's a player that would offer Arsenal a lot if they were to sign him, but I just don't know how true these links are at this moment in time. Vanadu says, are we being hasty with Lokonga? When he did play, he was one of the best players that Luton had. Surely we could take a longer look at him in pre-season. I think that Arsenal and players like to have their minds made up pretty soon on players. I think they like to have their business in their minds of what they want to do as early as feasibly possible. It's beneficial for the club. It's beneficial for the players. It's beneficial for any buying suitors as well. So I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I know that you're concerned that we might be making a bit of a rush with this decision, but I think if we're being very honest, Lokonga, despite all his positives, despite how good he's been, he's never going to push players like Declan Rice or even Thomas Partey for those roles, and that's the reality of it. Yassine says, do you know if Kudus has a release clause in his current contract? I saw something on Twitter about it, but I haven't been able to verify that. I also have seen those claims on social media, but I haven't been able to suggest that that's true. Let me see if there's anything about it. Let's see on this side of here. I mean, yeah, there's nothing. They bought him for 38.5 million. Stories around the same time he was signed for West Ham claimed he chose the Hammers over Brighton because they agreed to insert a release clause. But there's nothing here about any kind of specific statement. Oh, here's a good tweet. Let's view this tweet. There has been much debate whether Hammer Mo Kudus has a release clause, with club sources staying tight-lipped on the subject. But West Ham fans should not despair, as the release clause is only activated after a 3rd transfer window following the signing, meaning a release clause will not be active until July 2025 if one exists. So it seems that he may have one, but it will not be active until 2025. So there you go. That's... hopefully answered your question. Omar says, why aren't any of the punishments thrown City's way on FFP? It would be amazing if some points would have been deducted this season at least. Omar, we know the answer to this because there is such a volume of charges that City are facing that it takes an incredibly long time. There is a date set in autumn for the hearing, and then there is an expectation that we'll get kind of a conclusion to this next year. It could even be at the end of next season. So don't expect any, quick returns on that one and that story at the moment. Adam says, thoughts on your Hater, or is there another defender you'd like? Either Hater or Kadioglu, I think, would be really, really solid options for Arsenal as well. Mike Freeman says, Arsenal Direct are good, but the shirts with printed names and numbers can take up to a week at busy times of the year, which of course this is. So just bear that in mind. If you do want to get them personalized, they can take longer to process. But as Mike points out, international shipping seems to be good, but do bear that in mind if you would like them to be personalized. Carl says, how many of the English players can we sell before the homegrown rule becomes an issue? Selling Ramsdale, Smith Rowe, Nelson and Eddie all in one window seems like it would be a deficit. This is one of my favorite topics, as listeners of the channel will know, because it allows me to address the big misconception in the homegrown rule. There is no homegrown rule. in Premier League and European football. However, there is what is called a non-homegrown quota. And this means that Premier League clubs are allowed no more to register than 17 non-homegrown players. Doesn't matter how many homegrown players you have, you are just simply not allowed more than 17 non-homegrown players. And of course, those non-homegrown players we have under, and we expect, we have over when we have players like Tavares and Tierney and Lokonga coming back, but we'll be selling those players. Partey could leave. Zinchenko could leave. Karl Hein could leave. I don't think Karl Hein counts, but you've got players like Cedric who's left, El Neni who's left. You've got who else could potentially go as well. Fabio Vieira is there, could potentially leave. You've got Gabriel Jesus could potentially leave. So no, there is no homegrown quota, but there is a non-homegrown quota which you cannot exceed. The number of players for that is 17. So we're not in any kind of bother, Carl, at the moment. So don't worry about that. Jano says, Tom, do you think there is a chance that Frank Lampard could rejoin Chelsea as manager? I hope that Todd Bowley. No, from what I've heard, they aren't looking at former coaches. I know there's a lot of fear from Arsenal fans that Jose Mourinho could go back, but the suggestions are that they are not looking at Tuchel or Mourinho or Lampard. So I don't think so. Derek says, Tom, did you see the story that Yusufa Fofana could be available for just 20 million? Yes, I did, which made me kind of question it a little bit because surely he would be worth significantly more. But maybe Monaco in a situation where with a 1 year left on his deal, they don't have much negotiating power on Yusufa Fofana. If he's available for that, I think we should absolutely go and snap him up. Please do. So Nicholas says, Tom, it's genius. Breaks so many rules and regulations. You can do whatever you want and win a ton of trophies and pay for it later. I mean, allegedly, of course, Sir Nicholas. But I think that it will. If the let's just hypothetically say the outcome is what you, from the sounds of it, are expecting it to be. I'll be very disappointed. You know, I'm not on the whole thing of like we need to see trophies redistributed to the teams that finish runners up because it would be pretty hollow if Arsenal picked up the Premier League because it was given to them by default in a hypothetical scenario in the last couple of seasons, and Man United were given one, and Chelsea or Liverpool were given some. You know, it would just feel hollow. It'd feel like the years of my footballing life and especially in my youth, really wasted. So I'm not necessarily that keen on it, I know you were having a laugh, Nicholas, but I'm just kind of thinking back in more serious terms, like the idea of that and the divvying of trophies out to runners up during those years, it would be so hollow. I'd barely bat an eyelid at it, I think, to be honest. Adam says, would you rather splash out on a 9 or a 6? I personally think De Jong would have a bigger impact than Isak. Both would be a dream. I disagree with you there. I think Isak would have a bigger impact, but I do actually think that a priority midfielder is bigger than a striker, but I just think Isak would have more of an impact compared to De Jong. I like both, but I think if Arsenal can go out and sign that perfect midfielder and you can add him to Rice and Ødegaard, Arsenal potentially have got, arguably after City, the best midfield in the world. I guess Real Madrid are also up there too. You've got Real Madrid, City, and then I'd argue us. I'm trying to think of any other side that has a better centre midfield three. Obviously, you've got Camavinga and Tchouaméni, and Bellingham's kind of more of an auxiliary number 9, isn't he? Really plays kind of this attacking position. But behind City and people say Bayern, you've got, I know, Kimmich and Goretzka, but I still think I'd rather have Rice and Ødegaard's than Bayern's midfield. And add a third player in there. I think, we're up there with the best. So, yeah, let's hope that Arsenal can pull that off this summer transfer window. Darren says, how many more times does Chelsea need to sack their managers and pay compensation before they get into trouble with FFP? It depends on how it was terminated. It seems like it was a mutual agreement, so that may not be a big payoff. It's difficult to know how much Pochettino would have received, if anything, for leaving Chelsea. Constance, the redistribution of trophies will be the only punishment that a ton of money can do about anything. Any other punishment, time and money will resolve that as well. Exactly. Abdul says, hey, Tom, do you think the FA sometimes gives Premier League clubs a hard time in Europe? Other leagues give clubs longer to rest, such as Porto, before their big European ties. Absolutely, Abdul, yes. It is something that needs to be addressed. European teams and European leagues often always schedule their team's games or reschedule their games so that they can play earlier, have longer rest ahead of the games against any other opponent. And it is something that we need to look at here in England. But unfortunately, the schedule is so hectic that it doesn't tend to happen. And the scheduling, the TV companies, the Premier League don't tend to have too much of a keenness, it seems, right now to change that. Yasin says, did you see the rumours that Tchouaméni could be available and Liverpool are possibly pursuing him? If that is true, we should definitely contest, in my opinion, and try and grab him. Absolutely, if Tchouaméni is available, Arsenal should be looking at him as well. Would be a very good addition to the Arsenal team. Aya Baziway says, happy birthday to me and happy birthday. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that as best I can. I'm going to give it another go. Azi Bazibwe, that's the best I can give you. But happy birthday to you, and I hope you have a fantastic day, my friend. Nelson says, Inter fans count their titles. If we get two handed to us, I'm all for it. We did deserve them. Man United getting them one for finishing 12 points behind City in 21-22 would be weird, though. Very true. I think also I don't know how many would be given, because obviously the investigation is only looking at a period from a little time ago. I think it's from like 2008, 2009, something like 2017 or something. So I don't even know if it would count the trophies of recent seasons at all. I have absolutely no idea. Troy says, PSG, Juventus and Manchester United are hunting down for Fana. He said that he wishes to stay with Monaco and get a new contract. Well, there you go. Tyser says, Tom, what do you think about doing a playoff for the European places below the top four? So from fifth down, teams have things to play for and keeps the season going, so the team do not go on their holidays before the end. Adding more games, is that really going to be a solution that people are going to get on board with, that players are going to be on board with? I'm not so sure. I absolutely understand where you're coming from and the incentive to give that reason to keep playing, but maybe it actually takes something away. If you're like fifth and you still know that you've got a playoff coming up, maybe you end up resting loads of players in the last couple of games if you've already got that fifth position locked down. So I guess it could have a negative impact as well. It's not a guarantee that it solves things. Ben says, do you expect to see some more youth signings? We seem to be losing a lot of bodies. Yes, I do. And there's definitely a emphasis for Arsenal this summer on improving the options that they've got in their youth academy. So definitely something that we're expecting to see. I think we're going to end things there. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuned in and continue to listen. You are highly appreciated. Thank you. Do drop a like, help us to reach that 1K target, and have a fantastic Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I'll be back with you then tomorrow morning to round up any other news that breaks in the next 24 hours. But stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal. I look forward to speaking to you very soon. So yes, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I've already said up the Arsenal, so I've got to say it again, I guess. Up the Arsenal.